What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We got a great show lined up for you today. I hope everyone is doing well. It is fins up to everyone. I hope all is well. Fins up, fins up, fins up. Y'all hit that like button on your way in the room. Punch that like button. We're going to get started. We're going to try to get 100 people in the room. So again, y'all punch that like button, and we will get started. Let me see here. I see everyone in the comment section. Y'all give me one moment. I have to load one more thing that didn't load for me. So y'all bear with me. Let me see here. All right. There we go. We're good. All right, man. So I wanted to do this stream because I think it's going to be a very important stream. Okay. This is one of those higher level streams. If you've been following this channel for quite some time, you know there are different type of streams. There are informative streams, there are educational streams, there are fun streams, there are debate streams, and there's theory streams that are either proven or disproven. And this is one of those streams that have a lot of elements. It's one of those theory streams that's been proven, and it also is one of those informative streams that is very important for every Dolphin fan to hear this stream. So once you're done listening to this, if you enjoy the content that you received today, make sure you share the video and let others know about it as well, because I'm about to take a deep dive, a good look at our quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, there's some things we got to talk about. There's some things that we're going to tell the truth, and then there's some things that at the end of the day we should all be excited about. All right. And it ties into some of my previous streams that we did, because we got some revelation recently that confirmed some major things. Shout out to those who caught on to the things that we're going to discuss today, because they sent it to me on Instagram, Twitter. Hey TD, you were actually saying this a few months ago, bro. And look what Tua just said. You were spot on. This isn't a I told you so moment. This is a revisit, because some people heard it and didn't even realize what was said. And I'm going to bring it home for you all. And I'm going to be honest with you. And I know it's mysterious right now, but what I heard made me feel so good deep down inside, because I already see that the Miami Dolphins are doing the right things to take care of Tua. And I'm going to break all of that down. And the topic of this video is going to be how Tua Tagovailoa can become the Miami Dolphins franchise quarterback. Okay. Now I'm also recording this episode for the podcast, Believe Podcast. It's Believe in FinStalk, all right, on the Believe Podcast Network. You can check that out on Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere, anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm rolling back up with that. Y'all saw me do the podcast last year in the off season. I took a break, but the podcast is about to get back to rolling. So make sure you go subscribe and check out the podcast. All right, it's Believe in FinStalk, BLEAV. Okay, BLEAV. All right, it's Believe in FinStalk. All right, now let's dive in. Again, the title, How Tua Tagovailoa Can Become the Miami Dolphins Franchise Quarterback. First of all, in talking about how he can become the franchise quarterback, we must first recognize that he is not the franchise quarterback. All right. And in order to recognize that he is not the franchise quarterback, we have to define what a franchise quarterback is. Okay. Now, I've looked at several definitions. There's about 4 different definitions of what a franchise quarterback is. Number 1, someone who takes a team or franchise to a consistent realm of winning, no matter who is added or subtracted from the team on their side of the ball, with the exception of a team having a historically bad play on the opposite side of the ball. What that means is your franchise quarterback is constantly having you win games, regardless of what they add on offense or take away on offense. They constantly have you in a state of winning, which is playoff appearances, winning big games in the playoffs, with the exception of having a historically bad defense, because no one can overcome that. Okay. Another definition is someone who has the support of the team and organization, and who the team is not actively trying to replace. Okay. And then there are some other definitions: someone who the team is building around and expects to be a part of the organization long term. And the last one is someone they see as renewing their contract over and over again in the future. Okay. Those are the 4 different states of franchise quarterbacks. Now, the reality is most young quarterbacks that you bring in the first round in the draft, you're expecting them to be the franchise quarterback. They're not the franchise quarterback yet, but that is what your expectation is. Having them become the franchise quarterback. Okay. And that is the goal for any young quarterback. Sam Darnold, they wanted him to be the franchise quarterback. He wasn't. Okay. Ryan Tannehill, we wanted him to be the franchise quarterback. He wasn't. He just wasn't. Tua Tagovailoa, we want him to be the franchise quarterback. That's the hope. We don't know if he is yet. That's something that has to be earned. Okay. But diving into here's how Tua Tagovailoa can become the franchise quarterback, we have to talk about what a franchise quarterback is, which we just did, and what Tua needs to do to become that. But in order for us to understand where Tua stands right now in that realm, we have to understand what his weaknesses are. We have to understand what our quarterback's weaknesses are. And we're not understanding those weaknesses in efforts to bash him. We are not understanding those weaknesses in efforts to try to prove that he's not going to be the franchise quarterback. We are only understanding those weaknesses to determine what he needs to improve in order for him to become the franchise quarterback. All right. Now, let's talk about some of those weaknesses. And a lot of us are going to agree or disagree with some of these weaknesses. This is what I found to be some of Tua Tagovailoa's weaknesses. We're going to talk about them in detail, and I'm going to provide some some material that is evidential that supports the things that I've come up with. Okay. All right. So I only wrote down 5 things. Okay. Number 5, I wrote down Tua's ability to read coverage. That is something that a lot of people automatically give quarterbacks credit for. They automatically, if a quarterback has a high completion percentage, the quarterback rating is high, and he's making a lot of great throws, there's this automatic assumption that they could read coverage. And in a lot of cases, it's actually not true. In a lot of cases, the offense is built for a quarterback who already knows where he wants to go with the ball. He may stare it down, and if it's there, he strikes and he completes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they can read a defense and understand what the defense is giving them. Okay. Tua's not a bum in reading defenses, but at the same token, that is definitely an area that he can improve in. And this goes all the way back into college. A lot of times people say, hey, Tua Tagovailoa was excellent at everything in college. And the true reason is that's actually not true. The reason why people think that he was just excellent in everything in college is because they were just so successful. It's easy to have just like 80%, 90% of everything to go right in college, and everybody ignored the 10%. And I would actually ignore the 10% of the things that go wrong in college as well. But the problem is, when I did my research, I found that the 10% of where the issues came from, the 10% of where the issues came from were against some of the greatest competition. And I realized the competition that he faced in college, it wouldn't be 10% of it wouldn't be the great teams. In the NFL, every team you play is on that level. So I started to dissect those things, and I realized post snap, there is somewhat of a struggle at times reading defenses for Tua Tagovailoa, but it's not a big deal. And here's why. That's for every quarterback. It's one of those things that comes with time in the NFL that you have to develop. Now, as we continue to go, I'm going to tell you why he struggles in this area, but why he is going to actually, they've already put something in place that we're going to talk about, that he's going to wipe that out. I feel like he has everything it takes to not struggle in that area, but I'm going to tell you why eventually he won't. But right now he does. All right. Number 4 on the list, and we're doing a countdown, holding on to the ball too long. Nick Saban even said it himself. Tua holds the ball too long because he's always looking for the big play. And I like looking for the big play. So it's a catch-22. You want him to look for the big play, but you also don't want him to dink and dunk all the time. There has to be a perfect balance in the NFL where you pick and choose where you look for the big play, but that internal clock has to register. I'm looking for it. It just isn't there yet. I want to wait another second because I think it'll be there, but you know what? I got to throw it away because that internal clock is telling me to throw it away so I don't take this sack or get hurt above anything. Okay? That's number 4. Now, number 3, timing. Instead of throwing to an open receiver, actually throwing the receiver open. And I think we've talked about that in the past. All the beat writers actually, they agree with that one. But I will tell you that's something that I've seen in camp that has greatly improved, but it's still something that has to be worked on because the consistency level of it has to be better. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. Number 2 on the list, accuracy on an elite level. We're going to talk about that one. And number 1, it's not even Tua's fault. The number 1 weakness Tua has is NFL coaching. So we talked about reading coverage, and I've given you the example of that. We've talked about holding on to the ball. We've talked about timing. The main 2 I want to focus on right now that's going to help him with timing, holding on to the ball, and reading coverage, that's accuracy on an elite level and NFL coaching. Okay? First, I want to start out with number 2, accuracy on an elite level. The other day, I got a community strike from YouTube because we were watching film. I decided because I told everyone this narrative of accuracy with Tua is not actually there like people are making it seem. A lot of people say, oh, Tua's the most accurate, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And I said, when I watch film, it's not actually what I see. I'm not seeing the accuracy on the level that other people are talking about. And it's not a bad thing. When this stream is over, y'all, it's going to hit home. Y'all going to understand why this kid has every ability to turn the corner. And I think he's about to do it. And y'all will understand why. But I want you to understand the issues before we get to that. All right. See, AB already in the comment section said, wow, Tua not accurate now. Yeah, I said it. And let's talk about it real quick. I did a stream the other night, about 3 nights ago, and I proved my point, what I'm talking about with accuracy. I showed it on film. We showed about 15 plays of Tua throwing the ball. Random. I didn't want to pick and choose where it would make my point. I told everybody, pick any game. And I said, make sure it's not one of his bad games. Don't give me the Cardinals. Don't give me any of his good games. I mean, his bad games, not the Cardinals. I said, don't give me the Raiders. Don't give me the Denver Broncos. I don't want a good game because it'll be easy for me to point out the accuracy issues. I said, give me any good game. Everybody start calling out good games. We pulled it up, and I was able to show you what I was talking about. There were about 15 plays we watched on Tua Tagovailoa. Okay. Now, I know after the video was over, a lot of people in the comment section, in the messages after the video was completely over, TD, these 2 examples right here, you're nitpicking. Say I give you that I'm nitpicking on those 2. What about the other 13? Was I nitpicking? No. There's a high level of inaccurate throws by Tua Tagovailoa. So first of all, people need to understand what an inaccurate throw is. Just because it's complete does not mean it's accurate. The problem with Tua Tagovailoa right now is sometimes he throws it too high. The receiver has to leave his feet, catch it, come down. What people need to understand is when a receiver has to leave his feet, that takes away time and opportunity for yards after the catch. A receiver may be running an out route, and if you put the ball in front of him, he can catch it and keep running. But if you put the ball on his back shoulder, he has to turn, catch, turn back around, look, and then run. That affects yards after catch. This is actually not accuracy. It's a completion, and I will take it. But it's not accuracy. But I am here to tell y'all, no quarterback is accurate every time. And I've heard that argument, TD, no quarterback is just always accurate. And I agree. But we need to stop making general statements and understand that there are levels to this. No quarterbacks are accurate all the time. But there is a difference between a quarterback being accurate 70% of the time, perfect throw, versus 30% of the time, perfect throw. That's the difference. So I acknowledge to everyone right now, no quarterback is accurate 100% of the time. But there are levels to this. There are levels to this. And that's what people need to understand. And with that being said, I'm going to bring a sound bite because this is a huge piece of what Tua Tagovailoa needs to make sure he keeps in his focus. This is what Tua Tagovailoa needs to keep in his focus, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to play a clip of a video to help y'all understand what I keep trying to share with you all. Okay? Here we go. This is a clip of Tom Brady recently talking with Tony Romo about exactly what we're talking about.
I mean, there's toughness in how you play the game. And people don't realize your toughness is just, you're so calm in the pocket. And there's chaos around you. And I don't know exactly how to define it for people because you're obviously the greatest who's walked. But I think it's because you're so focused on the details. I mean, your throwing motion.
Yeah. And such an obsessive part, for me in passing the football is, I'd say in some ways I'm a very simple person, If I'm really thinking about what I love about football, I love releasing the football and just seeing the perfect pass.
The perfect pass. Nobody is going to always give the perfect pass, but this is what you have to strive for because it makes a difference in a game. If you throw the ball a little too high and your receiver has to leave his feet, gives the defender time to tackle him, 7 yards, that's all good. It's a completion. But if the perfect pass might allow him room to run and get 15 yards, this is what makes the difference with great quarterbacks.
And the perfect amount of rotation on the football and the perfect ball placement with the perfect timing. And you just wake up in the morning thinking about how can I do that again? And you'd be surprised at how often it doesn't happen. I think that's what people don't realize is, there's, 90% of the time the ball doesn't do exactly what I want it to do. Now, my misses, I would say, might be 4 inches off, not 4 feet off. And a lot of people would say, oh, it was a great throw. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I was kind of aiming for his left shoulder, hit his right shoulder.
Tom Brady's saying exactly what I'm trying to get across to some of you all that you want to ignore. People are saying that's a great pass, and Tom Brady said, I tried to hit his right shoulder, but I hit his left. It makes a difference. You all call it nitpicking, but the greatest of all freaking time, this is how he thinks. And I want my quarterback to be one of the greatest of all time. That's why I pointed out. That's why I pointed out. I understand he's not going to be 1,000% accurate every time, but we have to strive for that. So going forward, I'm not going to say that I'm not nitpicking anymore. Yes, I am nitpicking because if Tom Brady nitpicks himself, I am going to nitpick Tua Tagovailoa because I know what I want to see. I want him to be better than this man because honestly, he reminds me of this man. He makes me feel like he could do what this man can do. We're in the right situation, in the right circumstance. In the right situation, in right circumstance. Now, I know somebody in the comment section said, Brady said 10% are perfect throws. Did you also hear him say, instead of 4 feet off, it's 4 inches now? Did you also hear him say his bad throws, instead of 4 feet off, it's 4 inches off? You see what I'm saying? Did you also hear him say, I tried to hit his right shoulder, but I actually hit him on the left shoulder, which is a whole foot, and he doesn't see that as accurate? And he knows you can't be accurate every time, but it's what he's striving for. So when I'm breaking down the film of Tua Tagovailoa and I say, man, the offensive player had to leave his feet, he got to bring that down 1.5 feet right in his chest. That would be perfect. They could just go. oh, the tight end was going towards the sideline. If he put it out in front of him, he could just catch it and run. Instead, he has to turn his shoulder around to catch it, then turn back around. That all takes away from the maximizing what you can do. It takes away from maximizing what your offensive weapon could do. And we want to ignore these things because we want to act like the guy we have can do no wrong. And the sad part about it is the guy we have, he's more critical of himself than most of the fans. And that's why I actually love Tua. That's why I love his thought process. He is so detailed about being better for himself, and he criticizes himself. And it's sad the people that love him the most don't even see that. This is the type of mentality Tua needs to have, which he does, and we need to have.
You know, I got to stay inside more, and I got to reach more to my target, or I got to keep my weight back a little more, or, you know, got to get my foot strike down a little faster, you know, and that's what I'm processing on every throw. So there's almost an obsessive compulsive part of me that, you know, is part of the game. And I'm very fortunate. I love the sport, so it allows me to work really, I wouldn't even say hard, just work fun.
I mean, your throwing motion, I don't think people really realize it's an incredible thing to see up close. It's one of those things that's so pure. Everything was just sequenced so perfect. And it's hard to describe to people because you're just throwing a football.
See? Stuff like that. Stuff like that, man.
Sequenced
this is
so
the goal.
Perfect. And it's hard to describe to people because
in stride, receiver don't have to turn his full body around to catch it because it's off the defender's helmet, that short or anything. It's the perfect pass. It's what he's striving for.
But if you study it and you try and do it your whole life, you're like, wow, that's what you're trying to attain.
Yes.
I'm dreaming of the perfect throw. And the perfect throw at the perfect time. And even when people, oh, it's a great throw, I'm thinking, oh, it's just a foot right of where I wanted it to be, you know? And then every once in a while, I'm like, damn, that was good. You know, just do that every time.
But that right there shows people the commitment you've had to your craft.
I'll let the GOAT say it. I ain't got to say it no more. I'll let the GOAT speak. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That's how we should be obsessing about Tua's game. There were huge expectations for Tua Tagovailoa coming out of college. This is the obsession we should have in his game. Everybody wants to settle with the 70% completion. I'm not expecting Tua to be Brady accurate right now. But when I bring it up, I'm only bringing it up because those are the aspirations I have for him. That's what I aspire to see from Tua. Eventually, I don't need it now. I just like to see him headed in that direction. So when I'm watching film and I'm noticing, yeah, that wasn't the most accurate pass, but it's a completion. And people try to say, oh, he's not accurate now. You don't understand how hard it is to be accurate on a consistent basis. So that's not a takeaway from Tua. It's not a takeaway. It's something that I only aspire to see him do eventually, recognizing he's not doing that right now, like people want to at least make it seem. So here's an area that Tua can definitely make strides to become our franchise quarterback. And it won't happen right away. It will happen over time, but we get to notice those things more and more. So when we break down film, he may have 8 out of 10 inaccurate passes, even though 7 out of 10 were caught. And then 6 games later, he might have 3 out of 10 inaccurate passes. And you're like, man, this kid here is on point. And you can appreciate that growth because you recognize where he came from versus these people already thinking he's there. So this is why Flores and company are evaluating him and saying, you know, I think he's headed in the right direction. I think he'll start to get there. And this is why they say, or do we go with someone that we know has a higher level of it right now? And that's why, and now we're going to talk about the last part of why I'm actually happy that Tua's going to get a fair shot this season to show his improvement on the biggest stage. I'm about to talk to you why, because what the Miami Dolphins did this offseason was game-changing for Tua Tagovailoa. And with that being said, let's dive into it, ladies and gentlemen. The last weakness of Tua Tagovailoa is NFL coaching, and it's not even his fault. This has nothing to do with Tua need to do this or Tua didn't do that. It's not even on him. It's not even on him. It's actually on the organization. So let me break it down to you, okay? About a month and a half ago, I did a stream about Tua Tagovailoa. It might have been 2 months ago, might have even been 3 months ago. I don't remember. I just know it was around when everybody tried to make it a big deal that Tua scored low on his Wonderlic. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? People tried to make it a big deal that Tua scored pretty low on his Wonderlic. And I got that information and I said, this isn't nothing to say, oh, Tua scored low on his Wonderlic. But it did make me realize maybe his learning style, like everybody aren't good testers, but they're good performers. Okay. And I remember on a stream, I told people, some people didn't like it. Some people understood because I was teaching them a new study. Okay. It's not new. It's been around for a long time, but a lot of people aren't familiar with learning styles. A lot of people aren't familiar with learning styles. There are 4 quadrants in learning styles. One is read write. So someone who is read write, you give them the playbook, they look at the playbook, I got it. I know what to do and everything. That's a read write person. Then you have a visual person where you could give them the playbook or you could just let them watch film and they got it. Then you have an audio person. Number 3 is audio. Someone who has to hear it. So that's where the coaching in their ear, telling them what needs to be done, and they process through audio. Audio is the lowest percentage in the world. Like out of world people. Now, these are learning styles. This isn't just applied to football. This is applied in corporate America, everything. When it comes to learning anything, this is applied in the world. The lowest group of people are audio. Okay. The second lowest group of people are read write. And the third group of people are audio, audio. And the largest group of people in the world learn kinesthetically. And I pointed out on that stream, I said, let me tell you something no one's talking about. I've been studying Tua for a while, and I think that he's kinesthetic. I said I think because I didn't know. He hasn't taken a VART test for me, and that's what the test is called, and hopefully the NFL utilizes it. I'm pretty confident they do, but it's called a VART test. The V, visual, A, audio, R, read write, and the K is kinesthetic. And I said on that stream, I'm telling y'all, I think Tua is kinesthetic. And I told y'all on that stream, the reason why I think he's kinesthetic is because there's too many reports coming out that he couldn't retain the playbook. And Chan Gailey came out, I can't give it, yes, they have different playbooks, but I can only get him what he can handle. He couldn't retain the playbook. Then finally, after everybody argued for months, Tua came out and said, I just really didn't know the playbook well enough. Then you ask yourself, why didn't he know it? Why didn't he know it like everyone else? And I came up with the theory that he's kinesthetic because, number one, after the hip surgery, he didn't have the same reps that everybody else had in the offseason. Then you add COVID on top of that, where they took out mini camps. And what they did is just threw him straight into regular training camp. And just because he had the playbook, if you're a kinesthetic person, he learned nothing with the playbook. Yeah, he learned a little. Everybody learns a little. Okay, the playbook, this is where that's where that. But he that's not how he learns. A kinesthetic person has to actually go on the field, do it over and over and over, and lock it in. And I said, he's kinesthetic, guys. I truly believe it. That's the only thing that makes sense for him to be so behind on the playbook. It is the only justification. But then I also said, I'm not going to say he is. I just think he is. And if he is, that's the coach's fault. And if he isn't, then we got bigger problems than we think with Tua, because there is no excuse for him to be at the level that he was at. Man, it's out. But so I let that theory be. The season played out. There were highs, there were lows, there were struggles, there were positives. And it was like, I just think he's kinesthetic, and the only way to prove it is if they give him enough reps next offseason, rep everything over and over, and we should see the improvement. And yesterday, I finally got my confirmation on my theory that he's kinesthetic. And that's what the issue was last year. He said it himself. He didn't say the word kinesthetic, but I want y'all to hear this interview. I want y'all to hear Tua Tagovailoa basically saying it himself, exactly what I was telling y'all. Exactly what I was telling y'all.
This is the first full training camp for you that's over. What have you maybe gathered?
I don't know if y'all can hear it.
Maybe yourself or the offense throughout this camp.
I've gathered that we've taken a lot of reps offensively and defensively. This is the first time
let me back it up.
Camp for you that's over. What have you maybe? This is the first full training camp for you that's over. What have you maybe gathered about maybe yourself or the offense throughout this camp?
I've gathered that we've taken a lot of reps offensively and defensively. This is the first time we've done two spot, I think.
First time they've done two spot. If y'all don't know what two spot is, well, he actually explains it, so that'll be better. I don't have to explain what two spot is. It basically allows you to get 2 times the reps that you would normally get in practice.
Where, we're on one field, and once we're done, there's a rotation, and now we're moving on to a separate field and doing, different things. But just being able to get reps with the guys, for me, it's hard to look at something. Say, for instance, we're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and say, "Oh, I see that. I got it." I'll be able to go out there on the field and get it. How things kind of resonate for me is, we see it in the film room, we go out and we rep it, and that's kind of how it sticks with me. And I think that's for a lot of guys on our team. That's how a lot of the guys get comfortable with running a route, making a block, making a pass, catching a ball, whatever it may be. I think that's been very beneficial.
He's basically hit the nail on the coffin, exactly what the theory was about Tua last year. He said, it doesn't really work for me to go through it all, like in the film room. That doesn't really work for me. What's beneficial for me is actually repping it over and over and over. He's kinesthetic. And I said this, that's what the issue has to be. Because if that's not the issue, then we got major problems. He just can't process at all. But I knew that wasn't the case, and I knew this was what it was. And I want you to think about it. He didn't have this opportunity at all last year. And I want y'all to go back as far as Rosen and Chad O'Shea. Why did they fire Chad O'Shea or basically send him off? Simply because he didn't know how to teach the young guys. Same thing with Robbie Brown and Chan Gailey. Robbie Brown was the quarterback coach. They fired him. And Chan Gailey, he had to go because he didn't care. Gailey was like, Fitz got it, man. I ain't got time for all of that kinesthetic versus this and that. That's honestly what it was. And Tua said, actually, that's how most guys learn. That's basically what he just said. Actually, most of the guys, that's how they get it, because most people in the world are kinesthetic. Most people in the world have to learn through repetition. It's rare. The read write people, the audio people, those guys, they're rare. They honestly are. They're rare. It's not a better thing or a negative thing. It's just that you have to take more time with reps than you do with visual people and stuff like that. But at the same token, the kinesthetic people, once they have it, now they start like here's the beautiful thing about a kinesthetic person. Once they have it, now they start exploring in it. Because once they got it, they can't lose it. They will never lose it. Kinesthetic people, once you rep it kinesthetically and once you say, I got this, you don't lose it. You don't lose it at all. Not only do you not lose it, the kinesthetic the learning style in you is typically goes hand in hand with the behavior style, which we're not going to get into the behavior styles, but I will tell you it goes hand in hand with getting exploratory. Now you want to create out of what you already know, because it starts to become so simplistic to you as second nature. And that's why when it comes to reading coverages, once he reps it over and over and over, and he starts getting different looks over and over, like you're going to see struggles. Tua will always struggle in new things. That's kinesthetic. I'm kinesthetic. If it's new, you're going to struggle. But once you have it, there ain't no such thing as turning back. There ain't no such thing as fool me twice. Kinesthetic people are infamous for getting fooled the first time. But ain't no such thing as fool me twice. It just isn't. That's why you would always have to game plan for a guy like him in the future. He's not quite there yet, but in the future, you're going to have to game plan against his mind. How can we show him a look he's never seen? And eventually you run out of things you've never seen. Some of y'all still don't understand what I'm saying, but this is huge, and this is why the improvements have already been made. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. I hope y'all get it. I hope y'all get it. I hope y'all get it. But this is why you should feel very positive about the future, because I listed all of his weaknesses, right? So when it comes to reading coverages, the more coverages he sees and he reps against, it could be handled. That's going to be handled, y'all. This isn't a guy that's going to be a perennial mistake maker. That's the beautiful part about it. Holding on to the ball too long. Now that's one he just has to fix. That has nothing to do with kinesthetic, y'all. That's one of the areas he just got to make sure he understands his internal clock, or they got to give him one and deal with, okay? The accuracy on an elite level, I'm going to tell you, here's another theory that I can't prove yet, but time will tell. I think he'll eventually be accurate on an elite level. The problem is right now, he's still processing the kinesthetic things that's happening. He's still trying to figure stuff out, and that's where that delay comes with not the elite accuracy. But that's where one of those, as a result of, once he masters the game, the accuracy, now he gets to play with the accuracy. Because right now, you heard the Brady interview. I'm always thinking, I got to get it on the right shoulder instead of the left. I got to plan better. I got to blah, blah, blah. That's not on Tua's mind right now. Right now, what's on Tua's mind is practicing and executing the kinesthetic part of it. of the game. I see this and I've seen it before. Now let's test it. Okay. That's what's on his mind right now. And eventually, once he masters all of that piece of it, then you're going to see the polishing start to take place of the perfect throw. Right now, he's just trying to figure it out. Oh, there he goes. Let me throw it. He's not worried about all those small little detail nuances. He's making sure he has the basic fundamental of it all. And then the timing, that's the same attributable. Once he has that, he can focus on that timing piece. You're going to see a combination of it all start to come together. But right now, he's making sure he gets the reps. Let me tell you why I really, truly, deep down inside know that this is the case. Because let me tell you something I noticed in preseason that looked different about Tua. Last year, I saw Tua come to the line, look a little, and hike the ball. I want y'all to look at me on screen real quick. This year, I saw in preseason, I saw Tua come to the line, and his eyes had a focus like I've never seen him have before. I saw him like going through it in his head. All right, I see the mic. All right, okay, the safety's giving outside leverage. Okay, the left tackle is a little bit wide. Like, I see him going through it all, like, and his eyes are so freaking big at the line, like he's processing everything that he's learning from film and what he's practiced in reps. And I'm like, I see a focus that's really trying to get it done. I actually see it. I actually see it. And once he hikes the ball, now I'm still seeing the staring down certain plays. And that's where once he has it, he's not going to stare nobody down anymore. You see, once he has it, Tua ain't going to stare nobody down once he has it. It's going to be, see, kinesthetic people, once they got it, they get cocky in a good way. Once you got it, you get cocky in a good way. Right now, Gesicki might be running it out, and Tua say hike, and he'll look forward, but then he'll lock on to Gesicki, wait for it, and go. Once you got it, you get cocky. You start hike, you'll start looking all the way right, coming back, and bam. It's a cockiness where I already know what I need to do. Now I'm going to play with you. Now I'm going to get you really messed up. See, it was so easy in Alabama with everybody being wide open. He got to skip that part. He got to skip that part and just, I'm going to play with you and hit you. But in the defense, you're getting new looks that you never saw. You're getting new schemes. And now you can't skip that part and automatically know what's going to happen. You got to actually study and see what they're trying to do. And I'm telling you, man, I think that this doesn't do anything but bode well for Tua Tagovailoa. Now, let's talk about the unfortunate part of this real quick. The unfortunate part about kinesthetic people is, first of all, you have to determine the reason why he's not doing it at a high level. Is it skill or will? And it's not will. Tua has no will issues. It's just like how we felt about Gesicki blocking. At some point, you got to be like, man, that's will. He just don't want to. He just ain't interested in it. But Tua has zero will issues. It's a skill thing. And that's what happens with kinesthetic people. They have to rep it for them to have that skill. Now, here's the issue for kinesthetic people. The only downfall for kinesthetic people is the obvious. It takes time. You got to rep every scenario. There are scenarios he still hasn't seen yet. And he's going to have to wait till he see it and fall on his face and then rep it. And okay, I got it now. But it takes time. That's the only downfall. That's why I love what he's talking about, where they run, where as soon as I'm done with this, because usually practices run like this. Tua over there getting reps, and then, all right, it's Jacoby Brissett turn, and he stands over there and watches. And they just changed that. He get his reps, Jacoby's in, now Tua's headed to the next field to go get the next reps in red zone. When he's done, Jacoby coming to red zone, now he's going in the middle of the field. Now he's over open field reps. Now when he's done with that, Jacoby's coming up, they're constantly got him moving. They constantly, that way you get double the reps in. That way you get double the reps in to accelerate the process of teaching him kinesthetic. And I'm going to tell y'all now, this is a totally new approach that the Miami Dolphins are taking. I'm not saying they listening to the channel or whatever, but they didn't do this before. So I either have to give Charlie Fry credit or they listening. I'm telling y'all, and I don't think they listening. So I got to give Charlie Fry credit. Same guy who was coaching him in the Elite 11 camp. Same guy that was coaching him in the Elite 11 camp. This is where y'all have to go deeper and understand this doesn't happen if Charlie Fry doesn't put this in place. And to be a great quarterback coach and have the reputation you have, Charlie Fry obviously understands learning styles, and we finally got somebody who's customizing Tua's learning style to his practice. They practicing it now. The same thing a few months ago that I was saying, you got to teach him kinesthetic. He shouldn't be in the film room all day. Once he masters it, then take him to the film room because now he'll become a film master. But right now he is kinesthetic. Get him out of that film room. Let him look at it a little to see it and talk through it. Give him all the learning styles. But primarily, this kid learns repping what you're trying to show him. And I have to say, if you see that improvement, Tua just told you that's how it helps. That's what helps him. This is how he learns. And you got to give Charlie Fry credit. Because Chan Gailey was just like, man, I ain't with all that learning style stuff. You're a quarterback. I'm giving it to you in film. You need to go out there and execute it. And honestly, that ain't how it works. That's what made great coaches great. Everybody doesn't learn the same way. Therefore, you can't coach everyone the same way. So shout out to Charlie Fry because you're following, you got the right process going that's going to help Tua Tagovailoa. I'm telling y'all, this on Charlie Fry. I told y'all this a few months ago. I was screaming to the top of my lungs. If you keep on doing the regular practices, not putting him in defensive situations that he's not used to, if you keep on film rooming it, talking through it in meetings, that's coaching. They're screwing up. He has to have kinesthetic coaching on the spot, walking through it. And thank you, Tua, for confirming it. Because people hear me say stuff like that, they be like, here this guy go with his theories. No, it's just education. I learned this when I was in corporate America. It was a part of the manager training program where you had to learn learning styles. And I learned within the course that this isn't just a corporate America thing. Sports teams use it. Every level of organization uses VARC. If you want to get the max out of your team or employees, you have to use VARC. You got to teach people the way that they learn and not one size fits all. You'll get the most productivity out of them. And I knew it. I said, this is embarrassing for him to not know the playbook and for him to not retain information. And all y'all just, oh, TD, you hating. Nobody said Tua didn't know the playbook. No, that's not what he meant. That's not what blah, blah, blah. Y'all making all these excuses. It was what it was. He did not retain the playbook. He did not know it well. But I do reverse course on anybody who feels that's because of him and he didn't put the time and effort in. It's just not true. And this is verified it. That it was simply coaching. He learns a certain way, kinesthetically, and he didn't have an off season to do it. He didn't have mini camps. He didn't have any of those. And then he was still dealing with the injury. So he was limited in reps, real reps. The first time he got real reps, thrown in the fire in training camp, but they expected him to already have retained a lot. They expected him to already have retained a lot. And I'm telling y'all, I feel like as soon as Charlie Fry came in there and they interviewed him for the quarterback coach, he probably said, listen, here's your problem with Tua. You're not teaching him the way that he learns. He's kinesthetic. You have to understand the offseason that he had. He wasn't able to tap into his kinesthetic by just getting the playbook. His hip prevented him to actually do the reps that kinesthetic people need. And what I would plan to do for him coming in is make sure that we double the reps. We have a fast-paced practice. That's something y'all didn't know. When I went to practice, I was shocked at how fast it was moving. One field, on to the next, going. Everybody is moving and putting work in. They don't have no day. And then when that big whistle come and everybody take their helmet off and they like on a little 5-minute break, it makes sense because they are repping. They're getting reps. And I've been to old training camps. Quarterback goes, all right, I did my 5 plays. Let me watch the backup. Now let me watch the third string. All right, I'm up again. It didn't work that way anymore. And I know that's what Charlie Fry had to come in and say. It's that simple. They know they said, we got an issue. He's not retaining, blah, blah, blah. And Charlie Fry probably told him he's not going to retain. He's kinesthetic. You didn't teach it to him the way that he could retain it. Well, we had him in the film room for countless hours before and after practice. We sit in meeting rooms and we talk through stuff and diagram it. And Charlie Fry said my point exactly. That ain't how he learned. He's kinesthetic. If he's not doing it on the field, then every piece of work you're putting in with him, you're losing a large portion of the retention. So when you're in a film room, he's only retaining 20% of that. Now, you to let me take him outside and I run those reps in, he's going to retain 80% because nobody retains 100% of anything until you rep it over and over, and then all the nuances you start to see. I'm pretty confident that's exactly what Charlie Fry said. And if he didn't say that and they just hired him, then he definitely was listening to TD Fins Talk that day and say, man, this guy is right. Let's shift gears. And I don't think that happened. I think that Charlie Fry was wise enough to know that everybody has different learning styles. Everybody has different learning styles. And it is so beautiful to hear Tua say it himself out of his own mouth about the way he learns.
That we've taken a lot of reps offensively and defensively. This is the first time we've done 2-spot, I think, where, we're on one field and once we're done, there's a rotation and now we're moving on to a separate field and doing, different things, but just being able to get reps with the guys. For me, it's hard to look at something. Say, for instance, we're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and say, oh, I see that, I got it. I'll be able to go out there on the field and get it.
Evidence, baby.
How things kind of resonate for me is, we see it in the film room, we go out and we rep it. And that's kind of how it sticks with me. And I think that's for a lot of guys on our team. That's how.
Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. And more importantly, over anything, thank you, Miami Dolphins, for recognizing this. And it's sad. You know how many quarterbacks in the NFL are trash and they continue to be trash and they keep going downhill just because coaches don't recognize simple things like a VARC evaluation? Guys are great in college and they come to the NFL and look trash. And sometimes it's simply because a coach doesn't recognize a VARC evaluation, a VARC assessment of a player, how they learn. They get stuck in their ways. Well, I don't care how you learn this, how you need to learn. You either get it or you don't. That's old school and it just ain't smart. It just ain't smart. Yeah, that sweater he wearing is fire though. I gotta admit, it just isn't smart, man. So his number one weakness, that's why I put it as number one, was NFL coaching. And now I feel like that weakness has been turned into a strength, and it's only a amount of time before those other things get better. Now, back to the thing that concerns me about all of this, though. Back to what concerns me. Will Tua Tagovailoa get enough time to lock things in kinesthetically? I'm hoping he does, because if the franchise recognizes that's what the issue is, now all he has to do is show the improvement in those areas to prove that, yeah, that was the issue, and yeah, it's starting to work. It's not going to be a finished product. This is something that happens over time where he locks it in and he becomes greater and greater. But I don't know what the timetable is, especially with all of the issues. Especially with all of the issues. Let me prove to y'all some of the stuff that I have to deal with ridiculous comments, okay? Bishop said, TD, the VARC assessment and philosophy has been scientifically disproven. It's a fallacy. First of all, you're a lie. That's a lie. First of all, that's a lie, because it's theoretical, number one. And number two, let's go down your road and say, let's act like you're right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been scientifically disproven. What that got to do with what Tua just said? What does that have to do with what Tua just said, which is basically telling you, I learn best kinesthetically? You see what I'm talking about? How people, they're only come to this channel to try to prove you wrong or cause disagreements. His statement is false, period. But even if I'm to go into what you said, and I'm gonna act like you're right, what that got to do with what he just said? Act like VARC don't even exist then. It still don't change the fact that he learns with reps and not looking. It's ridiculous. Stop with the craziness. Missed my last donation. Well, I got that one. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Ooh, it's gone. My bad, bro. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can I'll see if I can find it real quick so I can read it. Talk to him, ball game. It's crazy to me, people that try to come disprove you, but it doesn't matter. Tua just said it out of his own mouth, how he learns, how he gets stuff, and what's not beneficial for him and what is beneficial for him. So what was the point of you even making the comment? All right, let's see here. My bad, y'all. I'm just going because I hate to miss people's donation. Because they are okay. I found it, Brendan. Once Tua gets experienced, oh man, hold on. He said once Tua gets experience and there aren't any looks he hasn't seen, then I'm telling you, he's gonna be shredding defenses. He's always had it up top. I agree. Now remember, I'm going back to my concern. I just hope that he gets the time to see it all before they feel like, well, we're going to go with another guy. You see what I mean? That's usually the issue. It's just a matter of, I hope that he's going to get enough time to see it all to become that guy before they feel like they want to go with another guy. And I'm going to tell you now, that's why it's about improvement this year. It's important, man. It's important for wild card, at least. It's important for wild card, at least. At least bring your fan base to the playoffs, even if there's struggles presented in that. And I think everybody will get behind it. Yeah, everybody. But like a 7-10 season or anything like that, it's really hard. It's going to be hard to get behind, especially if other opportunities do present themselves. That's why I've always told y'all, if you've watched this channel long enough, what year did I say Tua's coming out party would be? Put it in the comment section, because this ain't nothing new. I've been telling y'all this for a while now. What a dream. Tua first 5 game, perfect. Hey, that'll be beautiful. Y'all put it in the comment section. What year did I say Tua's coming out party would be? I hope everybody get this right, because I've been saying it. This year, he's going to play better. There's still going to be some areas like, and that coming out party is 2023, and I've always said that. I would love for it to be this year. But just my analysis, me deep down inside, don't make me right, don't make me wrong. Time will tell. I just always said year 3. But the only frustrating part about that is me knowing that year 3 may be the year. You just hope that year 2 isn't so trying that the wings get clipped, it gets clipped right up under him before that. Then he has to go somewhere else and then start that process over in a new system, which you got to learn kinesthetically. So you see what I'm saying? So hopefully the play is acceptable enough this year that the year 3 opportunity is there, because if it is, I already know what I'm going to get. But I don't run the organization. That's why it's easy for individuals like me to say, hey, that tried and proven guy comes along, pull the trigger, because that's why it's easy to say that. But you know what? Listen, if Tua is just like plays exceptional football this year and he's actually progressed even quicker than I feel that he would, all of this is going to be null and void. We will know he's our franchise quarterback, period, this year. We'll know. It'll be solidified. It won't be no questions asked. It'll be what it is. But one more time, for those who still don't tend to understand,
and defensively,
what's going on?
This is the first time we've done 2-spot, I think, where we're on one field, and once we're done, there's a rotation, and now we're moving on to a separate field and doing different things. But just being able to get reps with the guys, for me, it's hard to look at something. Say, for instance, we're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and say, oh, I see that. I got it. I'll be able to go out there.
We're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and see it and say, oh, I got that. He's not a visual learner. It helps. He sees it. It helps, but that ain't his learning style.
And get it. How things kind of resonate for me is, we see it in the film room, we go out and we rep it, and that's kind of how it sticks with me. And I think that's for a lot of guys on our team. That's
what you call a kinesthetic person, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, kinesthetic people tend to be the best when given the time to be the best. Non-kinesthetic people, they don't have that. See, most non-kinesthetic people don't have that swag to themselves because they don't have that looseness. It's all mechanical. They don't have that looseness, that swag with it, that, yeah, I know what I'm about to do, and I'm going to play around with it. And I'm about to do this with it. And they're just so mechanical. And sometimes that can be a good thing. But y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what y'all want to see. That swagoo. You want to see that swag with it. Just balling out with swag. And those are kinesthetic people, man. That's how it works, man. So, but that's my take. This is what I think it's going to take for Tua Tagovailoa to become our franchise quarterback. The more accelerated this can happen, the better off. It's just unfortunate. I hope that our organization recognizes that he came in the league during COVID. So this does give credit to those people who say, well, he's fresh off of an injury. I personally don't care about the injury. It's not the injury in itself that was the issue for me. What it was, in my opinion, is the injury limited him from getting kinesthetic reps. COVID limited him from having an off season on the field his rookie year, actually putting the reps in. And I think that Coach Flo sees it, and it has to be credit to Charlie Fry. It can't be Coach Flo, because Coach Flo could have just coached the old offensive coordinators. This is what I want you to do. I want you to focus on repping him instead of film room. He could have just coached that. I think they got a new perspective from Charlie Fry that showed this, and Tua's confirming it. Last year, he couldn't confirm it because he may have not even known. I think it's something that he's actually realizing himself right now. I think it's something he's realizing himself. Watch it. Look at that. Like I'm also a body language. Like I took a class in college on body language and how you go into your next statement, right? And I know some people say this is a nitpick. This is a nitpick on body language. So I want y'all to recognize how he goes from one thought to the other. This is deeply ingrained in him. This is what he knows to be true, because he stops one thought and he's like, let me give you a little more of me. Let me give you a little more of my thought process in this. Let me give you a little more of what's really going on. And let me give you a little more of what I'm starting to realize. And watch this. Watch how he switches from the first thought into explaining it to y'all. Right here. Right there. For me, he's even realizing it. And that's what this camp is about. He realized it, and he's actually believing it now. Yeah, that's exactly what the issue was, because I'm getting better and I can see it because I'm getting these reps, and the reps are helping me. Oh, my bad. I didn't have it on the screen for y'all to see. Oh, man. Somebody said the video didn't show your point. My bad. Let me pull it up.
For me, it's hard to look at something.
My bad.
It's hard to look at something, able to get reps with the guys.
The hand gestures and everything showing you he's visualizing it, man. It's hard to this is ingrained. He knows that this is the 1000% case for him.
For me, it's hard to look at something. Say, for instance, we're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and say, oh, I see that. I got it. I'll be able to go out there on the field and get it. How things kind of resonate for me is, we see it in the film room, we go out and we rep it, and that's kind of how it sticks with me. And I think that's for a lot of guys on our team.
It's all hand gestures, ladies and gentlemen. It's all hand gestures. It's when you're really digging in your brain to explain to somebody what's really going on in your thought process. It's all hand gestures. I want to show y'all something, because he actually.
Is there anything any way other than giving guys a nice grill that
he doesn't actually have many hand gestures until he's really explaining
all
that.
the players in the locker room or all the players on offense?
Yeah, I think I've been able to work with a lot of the guys off season.
Hands in his pockets.
Throwing with them. I've been able to go out to lunch with a lot of the guys we have offensively and defensively as well. the Traeger situation was just a Christmas gift for our O-line.
Hands in his pockets.
I mean, the O-line doesn't get enough love, so you give
This
them
is
some
all
food
stuff he
with
knows. He
that,
knows
so
what to
stuff
say.
grill, on their Traeger as well. So hopefully they appreciate that enough to protect.
Let me go forward
for the entirety of the team.
I fast forwarded, by the way.
This is the first full training camp for you that's over. What have you maybe gathered about maybe yourself or the offense throughout this camp?
I've gathered
Hands in his pockets.
that we've taken a lot of reps offensively and defensively. This is the first time we've done two spot, I think, where
Here
we're
it
on
is.
one
Now
field,
he's
and
starting the
once we're done,
explanation.
there's a rotation, and now we're moving on to
The only reason people start using those hands gestures because it's something they just learned, and they're starting to explain it to you the way that they have learned it.
separate field and doing, different things, but just being able to get reps with the guys. For me,
Back to the
it's
hand
hard
gestures.
to look at something. Say, for instance, we're in a film room. It's hard for me to just look at something and say, "Oh, I see that. I got it." I'll be able to go out there on the field and get it. How things kind of resonate for me is
Back to the hand
we
gestures.
see it in the film room, we go out and we rep it, and that's kind of how it sticks with me. And I think that's for a lot of guys on our team. That's how a lot of the guys get comfortable with running a route.
All right, man. I don't have to keep going, but listen, man. Somebody said you're reaching. I'm not reaching. This is what my education teaches me. This is what my education teaches me. This is why when I was about to graduate college, it was like, well, you got a whole nother semester. You could take classes. I said, well, let me go ahead and get a minor in psychology. So I went ahead and took all those classes, crammed eight classes just so I can get a minor in psychology. I had already taken psychology courses as electives for my major. This is what my education teaches me. I'm not nitpicking. Or reaching. Don't call it, say somebody's reaching because you're ignorant to something. Because you don't know. You don't have the education that backs it up. But if you took the class and you have the education that supports what I'm saying right now, you would be saying you know that too. You would be saying, yeah, TD, I learned that too. That's exactly what you would be saying. So I'm sorry, it ain't even no boastful thing or nothing like that. This is what my education taught me as certain classes in my psychology minor. Just going off of what I know to be true. That's it. I ain't trying to make up a new theory. I'm just going off of what I've learned. It's that simple. All right, but anyway, somebody said overanalyzing. Yeah, but that's what Flores and them get paid to do. Overanalyze. That's what they get paid to do. Shout out to Ball Game. Say I have a master's. Love you, bro. I don't. I went to grad school. After 4 classes, I was like, I don't do this no more. Tired of school. Put too much in. But congratulations to all y'all who not only educate yourself, even if you don't have a degree, but shout out to everybody who constantly educating themselves. It don't have to come in the form of a degree. You could just be obsessed with reading articles and journals from professionals and this and that. It's just about trying not to be ignorant in everything. Trying to make sure you realize you don't know everything. And the only time you cocky is when you actually put the work in and did the research to talk through it. So what you think about what he said about Mac Jones? Seems like I'm his head. He was laughing because he knows he's better than Jones. You mean at the end? I think I heard something like that at the end where he was laughing or something. And I'm going to stop sharing this before they take it down. At the end of the day, that was all fun competition, him saying, hey, he better look out or whatever. I forgot what he said, but I know what you're talking about. He was making like a friendly competition. Like, I'm about to give it to you, like we about to destroy y'all in so many ways, I just like it, the competitiveness and having fun still with it. And at the same token, now he just got to go out and prove it. We'd love for him to be right, that he's way better than Mac Jones. At the end of the day, you just got to go out and prove it. You got to go out and prove it. So we'll see how that goes. Ball game said, just saying you are correct. No, I know you are. But yeah, man. But y'all see that, man. It's the people that try to be toxic in the comment section. They try to rebut everything you say and have no valid data to support it, just to get the conversation off track. And I'm still working on that, trying my best to ignore those type of people. But sometimes I call it out because people read it and think that they're right. And I want to make sure you have the accurate information. And I'm not always right, y'all. That's why a lot of things I present in a theory form, this whole kinesthetic thing, I said this a few months ago. I said, I believe this is the case. It didn't make me right or wrong. I just believe that was the case, because if it wasn't the case, then Tua had major issues. Like, if this wasn't the case, then Tua, I would have had zero faith that he'd ever become a franchise quarterback. And I'm glad that he confirmed through this interview, through this session, that's definitely the case. They're doing something different this year. They're doubling up the reps. He's not the type of guy that just learns looking at the screen. He's the type of guy that needs to rep it over and over for him to, lock it in. And it made all the sense in the world. And I'm like, thank you for confirming that, because it kind of puts me at ease, because I didn't know the answer. I had my theory, but they didn't make my theory true. And because if it was proven wrong, then I'm like, I ain't got no faith in this kid. He just really can't retain or keep up. That's concerning. But what he just said validated, okay, then that ain't no excuse. That's a reason. And we're already putting things in place to fix that. Shout out to Charlie Fry, because it can only be him. I'm telling y'all, it can only be Charlie Fry making that correction. It could only be. Flores could have easily gave instruction, and it ain't Flores' job to well, actually it is his job to like last year I used to say it too. I used to say is Flores coaching the coaches, Is he seeing how they're teaching these guys, and is it the right way? And obviously he probably recognized some things because he made the appropriate fires. But, sometimes you got to have that fresh mind with a new theory come in saying, hey, this is what's really happening to him. And I believe that's what sold them on Charlie Fry. Let's bring him in. I mean, he's already known to be able to work with young guys and QBs. And this is probably one of the benefits of Charlie Fry, is the fact that he knows everybody doesn't learn the same. Tua's kinesthetic. We got to teach him kinesthetic. That quarterback's read right. We got to give it to him and read right. And they'll retain it better. They'll retain it better. But I love this, man. This gives me a lot of confidence in Tua going forward. I just hope the Miami Dolphins see enough this year to where they can make it to the third year. I really do. I just hope that they see enough. All right. But I'm gonna read a few comments from the comment section before I get out of here. I got a few minutes that I gotta go. Let me see here. Let me see. One moment, guys. My biggest fear is Deshaun Watson is going to New England. Mac Jones beating out Cam is a really good selling point. I'm not worried about that. And I think we'll see in week 1 how good Mac Jones is or he isn't. And again, it's his first year. You really can't make a fair assessment after 1 year. All right. You're welcome, Logan. Shout out to you, homie. Hopefully I can have you on sometime, man. Sending love. Now that we have our roster, what is your win-loss prediction this season? It keeps changing. It changes every freaking week because I get new information every week. Like I'm gonna show you how it changes. Before I heard this interview, I had a whole different number. Now, after confirming what happened, I still feel like we can go like without my undefeated record prediction, giving you a real one. I feel like we could reach that 13-14 game mark. It ain't gonna be easy, it's just gonna be hard. People don't understand how hard it is. We can. If we maximize Tua this offseason, which I think based off of hearing this that we did, we can. TD, you are very good. what did you mean 2 days ago when you said he needs to show up against New England or he's not cutting it? I feel like he has to show up against New England. You don't get beat by no rookie quarterback. I know you don't play against each other, but you can't be the reason that we lose. This season with all of this Deshaun Watson crap sitting there behind us, because it is behind us right now for now. But you can't start the season just bombing it because y'all thought y'all was tired of the conversation a week and 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let us have any semblance of going 0-3 or 0-4. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. And that's just the true reality of the situation. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's justified or not, whether you think people are overreacting or not, it's what's going to happen. 10 times worse than what y'all have gotten. So if you had a problem with before, you better pray we don't start out with a 0-3 or better. They already going to start the rumblings if it's 0-1. We just like the Jets if we're 0-2. And we go 0-3, the sky falls. It falls. Period. It falls. They're going to come after Tua harder than you ever seen. Ever. They're going to come after him really hard. And it may not even necessarily be his fault. They're going to come after him. That's just the reality. This is where the pressure is there. Luckily, we got a kid who don't worry about that. He don't watch TV. He ain't into all of that. The only thing he hears from his agent, and he focus on getting better. And that's why I don't think we'll lose 3 straight games anyway. That's why I think we beat the Patriots. And it's going to be a tough game. People are like, we about to dog Mac Jones. It's going to be a tough game. They're going to limit the possessions in the game because they're going to try to run. They're going to try to establish the run a lot. And they're going to let that clock tick, tick, tick. And it's going to be a game where it's going to go by fast and the possessions are going to be limited. Period. It's going to be tough, but I think we come out on top. In the Buffalo game, it's going to be, whatever happens in the Buffalo game does not determine our future. But we can't get blown out. We can win the game. I truly believe it. We can win the game. But what we can't do is get blown out. But a win or loss versus Buffalo, as long as we beat the Patriots, nobody can complain. Nobody can complain. Sometimes it's just how you lose and when you lose that writes the narrative, man. I've seen teams start 0-3. The sky fell and came all the way back and made the playoffs. But the way that we're set up, it's going to be chaos all season. We could go 0-3 and end up 3-3, and the chaos will still be there. People will just be waiting on that next loss every week. Tua's not, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, Tua is not going to catch a break. It's just how it's set up now, especially with what just happened over the last 2 weeks. There's no such thing as him catching a break. The only break he gets is W's. That's it. And I think the most important thing is beating the Patriots week 1. And you already build yourself some cushion for, if things don't go perfect. Somebody said expectations are set way too high for Tua. Yes, they are. But that doesn't change the fact that they're set. That's all I'm trying to get people to understand right now. I'm acknowledging to you all, there will be unfair expectations. There will be unfair criticism. There will be, almost all of it's going to be unfair, but it's going to happen. So you can say, oh, they should have, why are people, honestly, just don't waste your time because it's going to happen. Only thing people care about right now are wins. That's where we are with it. And where do I fit in all of this? I don't fit anywhere but calling it how I see it. You ball out, we talk about the things you did that show that. You struggle and make your mistakes, we talk about those. It's not my job to sit here and deflate the bad and inflate the good. Just call it how it is. And if it lands to make them look bad, calling it how it is. If it lands to make them look great, I'm calling it how it is. People want to say, well, you contribute to that. Calling it how it is. I've always told you that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to get to appreciate his great play if he consistently does it well. I can truly be real and not fake about it or lie and make excuses about it. I can appreciate my quarterback better than people who automatically dog him for doing good stuff and praise him for doing bad stuff. I'll appreciate him more. And that's what I'm looking for as a fan, to appreciate him. Because he put the work in, he showed you the improvements. That's all I'm waiting on. If Miami wins, it won't be because of Tua. It'll be because of the team. Just like if we lose, it'll be because of the team. Unfortunately, yeah, the media is going to kill Tua. That's just the way it's lined up. Yeah. We get that. We get that. TD, that's fair, but give the same treatment you give Tannehill to Tua. Be the same for both. Dang. I can't, AB. Tannehill's is in the past. I can't repeat the delusionalism. I can't be in a state of delusion. When Tannehill, or are you saying right now how Tannehill plays right now and how Tua plays right now? Because if that's what you're saying, then you're wrong. I call it how I see it on both of them now, period. I call it how I see it on both of them accurately now. But if you're asking me to go and treat Tua today how I treated Tannehill in the past, I can't do it because I learned my lesson on treating Tannehill that way. I was wrong. I should have never given him praise when it wasn't due. And I should have never minimized the bad things. I should have never done that. So stop saying that. Stop saying something that I can't go back and change. I'm man enough to sit here and tell you I was wrong. I was acting like these Tua fans are now, just making an excuse for everything and just lying. And just lying. And then if I want to do it the right way now, and I can't even do that. So I can't subscribe to that, bro. I can't subscribe to that. TD, exactly. An old experience messed you up, and now Tua got to pay the price. No, an old experience made me wiser. And Tua's not paying no price. Tua's getting fair assessment as a result. It actually should be more appreciated now. I didn't pay the price with Tannehill. I became more wise and went away from my foolish ways. But you're telling me I need to go back into my foolish ways for Tua. Be foolish for Tua. Just because Tannehill burnt you doesn't mean he burnt you, and that's affecting you from being foolish about Tua, about just giving him the benefit of everything. You don't see that, bro? Come on, man. Tighten up. Tighten up. Tighten up. They crazy, TD. They think every quarterback needs 7 years to develop. Yep, you're crazy. Man. What made you foolish with Tanny? Ignoring his flaws? And not speaking on him how I really saw it? Giving him the benefit of the doubt of being a fandom? And saying he could do no wrong? And I learned from that. That was foolish. So now I'm going to be wise. In every quarterback we have, evaluate them accurately. And it wasn't just Tannehill, it was Rosen too. We went and got Rosen. I really didn't even know much about Rosen. I was just like, yes, we might have our franchise guy. Hopefully they could turn him into something and we could turn the corner. I'm being foolish in so many ways of my evaluation. Y'all know EM points that out every chance he gets. AB said emotions got involved. There you have it. They did. Now, should they? Should they get involved? AB said, that's my point. Get emotions out of the way. Bro, I don't even know what you're arguing anymore. I don't have no emotions in my way when it comes to Tua. And that's what I learned from it. I don't even know what you're talking about now. You're actually making my point. You're actually basically making the point right now that I'm trying to make. I don't even think you realize that. AB is dumb as y'all stop. We ain't got to attack each other. We ain't got to attack each other. You're making my freaking point, and you come on this show every single day and argue the same thing. Like for the last 60 days, it's like I see you every day arguing the same thing, and now it's starting to feel like you're making my point. You're saying what I'm saying. Sorry, TD, but it's true. It's all good, man. Oh man. Oh man. You want to bet Tua scores over 3 touchdowns? Man, I hope so. That'll be sweet. Like, oh, like I'm sitting here like, man, should I draft Tua as my fantasy quarterback? You know, see, that's the type of stuff I do. That's when my emotions get involved. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like I take it, like when I come on these shows, I take all emotion out. Y'all know when I'm like 20-0 and bam, you know, that's emotion. And I'm gonna tell y'all when I'm doing that though. You know when I'm doing that. But when I'm evaluating and giving my take, I take my emotions out. But now I'm in a debacle with fantasy football, and I'm like, it's fantasy. I should have my emotion in it, but I shouldn't. And I'm like, man, I want to draft Tua as a quarterback, but should I? And I'm like, he could do it, but he hasn't proven it. And I would just be gambling. I don't know. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Finally caught you live, TD. What's up, Antonio? Shout out to the members of the channel. Love y'all, man. Oh man, Cap for life in the building, the homie. I'm going to the president. We want to watch TD. I did because Rodgers and Pat M and Brady was gone. No, I don't draft quarterbacks in the first 4 rounds anyway. I get my quarterback around the 5th or 6th round. This year I'm gonna have to change that up. There's a few running backs I'm gonna get in the 5th and 6th round. And I might get my quarterback around the 3rd. Because there's certain quarterbacks. Oh Jesus. I'm gonna call y'all. I'm not gonna call y'all back. I gotta go. I love y'all. I don't know what's going on. I gotta go, man. I just got a text. I think my cousin just died. Love y'all. I'll see y'all soon, man. We'll see what's going on.